Hi everyone, this is Zach Thompson. I'm the module leader for PM 102, Introduction to Computing. And I want to give you some feedback about your assignments. I've gone through and I've reviewed a lot of the work from other classes and obviously from my classes. And I've also looked at the feedback and the comments from the lecturers who've gone through and marked your work. So I want to give you some of that feedback so that you can hopefully improve your work in the future and maybe understand what you did well and what you could have improved on. So just first I'm going to go through the requirements and sort of reiterate what it was that we were looking for specifically from each group. We asked you to form groups of 3 or 4 students, and you were tasked with creating a database for the parent support group for PSG. That would maintain the details for their counselors, for their staff members, their donors, and their beneficiaries, or the people who receive the support from the organization. This information needed to be maintained and stored in tables with relationships between them, and those relationships should have referential integrity. They should have the appropriate data type. So for instance, a phone number, which is one that often confuses students, should be stored as text because the first number is 0, and if you store it as a number, then Microsoft Access will just drop the 0 off the front. You also need validation rules and input masks, and we'll talk through a little bit more about those in a moment. We asked you for forms, for at least one that would allow you to enter and amend data in 2 different tables. We asked you to create queries where you create at least 2 detailed questions that you ask of the database that have specific criteria that you identify in design view. We asked you to create reports, at least 2 of those, based on queries or tables. We said that they should be relevant and that they should be presentable. They should be bespoke or customized for PSG. And a lot of students did very well with this, both on the forms and on the reports, by using PSG's logo and making the branding consistent. We asked you to put in sample data, so at least 10 for each table, so at least 10 beneficiaries or 10 counselors. And with the presentation, which was the final bit, we asked you to make sure that it was professional, that each member of the group participated, and that you also discussed how you as a group would integrate the database solution that you created with PSG's current hardware. So, having looked at a lot of the feedback from the lecturers and looking at some of the work myself, most students really grasped and understood the basic concepts really well. So for instance, creating tables and making sure that the data was normalized, creating forms and queries and reports. Most people at least had these in their work, and so understood how to create them and how they're used. On the relationships, some of the relationships did not have referential integrity, and some of them didn't use the appropriate type of relationship. So for a many-to-many relationship, you need a join table in the middle, so where you have many beneficiaries who might have one counselor, and many counselors might have more than one beneficiary, so it's a many-to-many relationship. And to create a many-to-many relationship, you have to have that join table in the middle. So most people got that right, although there were some who needed to really work on that sort of concept. Some of the areas for improvement, making sure that the criteria for the queries was appropriate for the organization's needs. So some people just wanted to meet the criteria by the marking criteria by having 2 queries and having some criteria in those queries, and just would say, show me all of the male beneficiaries or all the female beneficiaries, rather than trying to think of something that was more appropriate for the organization. So for instance, something like, show me all the sessions that have happened, creating a query that would show all of the sessions that have happened in maybe the last week or the last month. And again, bespoking the forms and reports, so making sure that they're consistent with the branding of PSG, so that you're using their logo, if on a form, if you've got buttons, or on a report you've got some areas that you've formatted, making sure that you're using the colors that are consistent with the branding of the organization. On the presentation skills, some of the comments that I've seen from lecturers are around making sure that the presentation itself is focused on the client's needs. You don't need to tell the organization what a database is or tell them what tables and queries are. You need to show them how the solution that you have created works. Make sure that you know the audience, make sure that you know the brand. Some of my classes and some of the comments I've seen, students were presenting to someone they didn't know. They got the name wrong, for instance, in the presentation, and so rather than PSG they would say something else. So it's important to understand who it is that you're presenting to, and make sure you get their name right. This is very important for a client. And the number one key to a successful presentation is preparation. Make sure you are prepared to present. Make sure that you know who in the group is going to cover what area, and even if you can, know what they're going to say, so that if they forget, you can jump in and you can cover their bit for them. Another area for improvement was around validation rules and input masks. Validation rules are a criteria really for a field in a table, and if that criteria isn't met, then a validation text, a window pops up that tells you that you've not done it correctly. So for instance, you might have a validation rule that in a gender column you only want to allow it to have input for male and female. So if someone types something else in, you'd be breaking that validation rule, and validation text window would come up that could say whatever you wanted it to. It could say male or female only. And then the other one was input masks. So things like postcode or phone number are often good places, date of birth. These are all often good places to use an input mask to make sure that you get the right number of characters and that you get the right type of character. And then forms for multiple tables. Students either did really well with this or they didn't do well at all, so or didn't even attempt it. With the forms, we asked that you made sure that at least one of them allowed you to enter data into more than one table. So you might have a form that allows you to create a new beneficiary, but you're also able to assign a counselor to that beneficiary in the same form. We also provided you with the forms for PSG, the current paper-based forms that they used, and many of you did a good job of sort of integrating those into the database and making sure that you were using all the correct information from those forms. So that's really it in terms of the feedback. I really hope that you enjoyed the module. I hope you enjoyed the semester. This is the first time that we've done a live project for an organization, and I hope that you felt maybe perhaps more motivated working on this, knowing that your work might be chosen to be used for the organization. I'm going to send an email out in the next couple of days inviting many of you to present to the managing director of PSG. What we're going to do is go through and find the best work, the best presentations, the best databases, select those students and ask them to come and present their work to the managing director of PSG, who would then select the group with the best database that best meets the needs of the organization, and that database will go live for PSG. So I hope you've enjoyed the semester. I have one favor to ask. I will put a form, a questionnaire, on Blackboard, and I'll email that out to all of you with a notification saying that it's there, asking you to fill that out. It won't take any longer than 5 minutes, so I'd really ask that you'd go and do that if you wouldn't mind. I would really appreciate it. But good luck with your exams, and good luck with the rest of your studies. I wish you all the very best. I will see you around. Thanks.